And Traverse City Central, before this year, had never lost a game in the conference, right? Or did they lose one before?
No, I don't think. I think they lost to St. Francis this year. Was their first loss,
one, and then you guys beat them, and then beat them again in the championship.
We lost to Central here at Traverse City, and then we won up in Petoskey.
The regular season, and then we won the championship game. Okay. So all that being said, now you guys, when the conference started out, did Petoskey have a team? In the conference? Yeah, there was only a couple teams the first year, right?
I believe we were. Okay. As far as we may have not have been in the first year. I can't say that. I mean, I've been with the program 4 years. Okay. I know we participated the year prior to that, so at least 5 years. Okay. Of the 8.
So obviously Lacrosse very new here in Northern Michigan. 5 years of the big Northern. How does it go? How's it?
Northern Michigan Lacrosse Conference.
Lacrosse is very new here in Northern Michigan. The Northern Michigan Lacrosse Conference, just its 5th year. And Traverse City Central, the Thunder Squirrels have dominated. Mm-hmm. 4 straight years they had never lost.
Right.
Not only do you beat them once in the regular season, but you win the title, the conference championship. How did that feel for you and all the other coaches and the players?
Well, we were elated. I mean, it was a culmination of a year's worth of hard work, and I think you measure any kind of victory with the strength of your opponent, and Central was a very, very worthy opponent. I mean, they have dominated this sport in northwestern Michigan ever since the inception of the conference. And so it was a team that we sort of pointed towards every year, that Central was going to be the measure. And to get better this year, we even went downstate more to play bigger schools with more experience so that we would learn from that experience. And we lost 3 out of the 4 games we played. So it was definitely something that we wanted to get better. And the only way you get better is that you have to learn how your mistakes can be improved upon.
And what does it mean? And I know they'd never say this because they want to win, but I think Central had won 41 straight conference games before the season. They lost to St. Francis earlier in the year, then they lose to you guys, and then they lose to you in the conference championship again. So what we're seeing then, that is the sport is growing because other areas are getting better, other teams are getting better. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always going to be something. I mean, even the teams that we play that we handle quite easily come and thank us because they say we learn something every time we play you. And we feel that same way about when we go play other teams downstate, is that it's a constant learning curve. I mean, one of our mottos was be the best. And you always are trying to improve upon what you currently have because you can always do better. Regardless of how wide the score is, there are things that we can improve upon. So that's what we try to take back from practice. And what we told the team after Saturday's game was that this is where we start next year. This is our starting point. We don't go backwards. We have to move forward. And the kids all embrace that, and that's a big reason why.
And from I've read a lot that lacrosse, it's the largest growing sport among youth in the country.
Yes.
And that's something that we're seeing a lot here in Northern Michigan. You guys have run a program up there with youth lacrosse for 8 years now. Why do you think it is? Why do you think it's becoming so popular?
Because the kids love it. I mean, just if you look at any young male athlete, and if you can give him a helmet and a stick, and then you can tell him he can go and hit people with the stick, that's going to have a natural attraction. But it just combines the speed of basketball, the physicalness of football, the opportunities that you would have with hockey and things like that, because hockey and lacrosse are very similar, that there is a very big attraction for kids because it's fast-moving, high-scoring, contact. I mean, it is just a fun sport to play as well as an enjoyable sport to watch. And that's why so many colleges have adopted lacrosse, because they attract paying spectators to come and watch the events.
What was the, and going back to your team again here, what was the analogy you used? Because you have 2 really good assistant coaches. Remember what you told me on the phone? What was that?
Oh, the analogy that I use is that I am the President Bush to President Cheney, with my coaches Wally Kidd, who played at Johns Hopkins, and Ken Case, who played at Salisbury University. So they are the brains, and I am more or less just the person responsible to keep them in the game.
And how did that all work out? I mean, you got 2 East Coast guys who played at pretty big-time universities where it's a huge sport, and then you end up being the head man. How did that all work out?
Well, they're everywhere. I'm a lacrosse dad. Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate enough that both my sons enjoyed playing lacrosse, and my youngest son went on to play at Syracuse, and so I had the opportunity to spend almost 10 years on the sidelines and listening to his coaches coach him, as well as seeing what the programs would offer. And so I just bring a parent's perspective. I mean, I've never played the game. My only familiarization with lacrosse was the Memorial Day event up in Mackinac, where the Indians played lacrosse and fooled the British every year by throwing the ball over the wall. So that was my only exposure to lacrosse. But My son, I used to live down in the Birmingham area. My son saw lacrosse for the first time in the 4th grade, and he said, this is something that I want to do, and he took it to heart, and it was through his hard work and perseverance that he made to win 2 national championships.
I know we can't explain this in the time we have now, but since I've been to a lot of games and I don't know, I basically understand the sport, but there are so many little nuances, so many little rules and stuff. I think a lot of people think that they're just running around with the stick and you try to score. It's not like that at all, right?
No, it's a very complicated game, and it comes from its heritage because it's the oldest game in North America. It was developed by the Native American Indians back in the 1600s, and it was perfected by the French, and then it was introduced in the United States through Upper Ontario and New York. But we have a direct connection with our Native Odawa tribes in Ottawa, who partnered with the Ojibwe in defense of the Hurons coming up from the south. So lacrosse really was introduced into Michigan back in the 1700s. And so it's a native game to Michigan, and it's got so much appeal that the people that once they're exposed to it love it. Our 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grade teams are growing dramatically. There's 17 club teams in Michigan, of which all of the Northern Michigan Lacrosse Conference people are members of the club. And there's over 103 Michigan high schools that offer sometimes both boys and women's lacrosse.
And those are MH, that's where it's MHSAA.
Those are the Michigan High School Athletic Association sponsored schools. So we need to have that girls component for us to become an officially sanctioned high school sport. And that is part of our goal, is that we want to achieve that kind of status.
And is that something the other, in Petoskey and the other schools in conference, Central West, the Sioux, are you guys all looking to try to do that, or is that, are you trying to take that forward in Petoskey?
Well, I believe that we have the shared common goal between all the schools, because we all benefit from that. It's something that we all grow alone or we all die alone, and so it's important for us as a conference that we look for that. And it's important to have those younger feeder organizations starting the kids out at an earlier age, so that when they do become age in middle school and in high school, they've already identified lacrosse as something that they'd like to do.
And so, and back to your team this year, you were telling me before, this was like a culmination. Some of these kids started playing when they were in 4th, 5th grade, whatever it was, and now they, win the championship.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
Well, Wally Kidd started our program in 2004, and so with his son Tommy and some other kids, we had both a 5th and 6th and a 7th and 8th grade group all combined in one team. And those kids have been just growing in the sport and staying with the sport. And it's through the help of volunteer coaches and parents and board members that get involved that culminate with a big win like we had on Saturday, because it's not anything one individual coach can do. It's the common shared effort of the whole community that we really want to introduce lacrosse at a high level. I mean, because no one wants to see a game where you can't pass, you can't catch, you can't shoot, you can't throw. I mean, that's not appealing to anybody. Yeah. So you have to have your skills, and you have to keep improving upon your skills so that you deliver a good quality game so that people enjoy it and you get that much more satisfaction from participating in it.
Yeah, and you guys won that game 12-11. I know Central semi against St. Francis was another one-goal game. And you had, were your other games with Central were one-goal games too. So this is not, we haven't been seeing, blowouts at all. I mean, this is competitive, high action-packed, fast-paced action.
It has got everything that you'd ever want to have a Michigan State game, and you have Central and Petoskey squaring off against one another, because we respect them and hopefully they respect us. And we play our hardest, and we play hopefully our best when we're up against it. And it took us a while to get there, because Central was a very, very worthy opponent. And a year ago we lost to them in the finals at Thurlby. And we led most of that game, but they had 12 seniors on the team, and we started 6 freshmen. So it was just that experience and that wisdom that carried them, and they eventually prevailed a year ago. So then we redoubled our efforts this year to come back and make sure that we would be worthy to run with them for 4 quarters.
A lot of kids are multiple sport players and stars, and if you went up to your team, how many of them, well, you're the head coach, so they'd probably, whether it's true or not, they'd say this, but how many do you think would say lacrosse is their favorite?
I would say most of them, because they love it. They play it with a passion, because it's not easy being on the Petoskey lacrosse team. We're very demanding. We hold them to high standards. We hold ourselves to high standards. We don't tolerate any kind of lack of effort or lack of initiative on their part. So It's not something in being a club, we don't have to take everybody. I mean, if you don't have your heart and you're not fully committed to the program, then maybe some other sport may be better suited for you, because if you're going to be on the Petoskey lacrosse team, you're going to be 100% committed, and we want you 100% focused on what we're doing, what we're trying to do.